With a party of a maximum of 3, Deltarune is pretty easy. So what if we shrunk the size down to just a single fluffy boy? And to really test my patience, I decided to ban fighting in this run. Just wait until you see the real impact of that rule. The game starts on chapter 1 as usual. Chris and Susie beat up Lancer, and then we can start the run after acquiring Ralsei. With Ralsei's very limited options for battle, there is only one choice we have to make it through, and that is to spare a Darkener 11 times. And if we say each turn is about 8 seconds long, that's 88 seconds for a single enemy. This turn was really just a lot of walking, not using Chris, and spending way too long in battles, but then Susie joined the party, and things started to change. To keep Susie from auto-attacking the enemies, we are forced to use Chris to warn everyone, but since this doesn't progress the battle in any way, it's fine. The worst part though, is now that we have a 3-person team, a lot of the battles are against 3 Darkeners. So let's just take the approximately 8 seconds for each turn from before, and each battle takes around 272 seconds, or 4.5 minutes. Chapter 1 has many scripted battles, so this was an insane amount of time to be spending on each. Luckily, this won't be an issue in Chapter 2, but this made Chapter 1 so painful to play through. Top that with me recording this challenge while I was sick and had barely any sleep, and you have probably the most boring content on the Deltarune side of YouTube. But things soon got interesting, since now we're at the roadblock of K-Round. This fight requires you to use Chris to act, but we can't exactly do that using just Ralsei. I just ended up skipping the K-Round battles since the challenge would be over way too soon otherwise. The forest and onwards were honestly way easier than the field and board. You can skip a lot of the encounters really easily, which resulted in barely any. One thing I did realize though, was that I could have just used the manual to pass by all of the runes before, if only I used my brain. But let's not dwell on the past, because now we have to fight Clover, who is spared after 3 turns. Not long after we got caught by his 2 Bloxers, which made me a little nervous since sometimes their hitboxes are not what you expect them to be. We got through easily though, and now we're at Susie and Lancer. Ralsei can't spare Lancer on his own, so there was only one solution, and that's to kick his ass instead. We can dodge the Ranger Rune in the castle, but Heidefi is extremely difficult and I got attacked by them. To save a bit of time, I killed Chris and Susie several times, and now we're at the King, where all we need to do is survive long enough, which was easy since I only got hit once. Chapter 2 starts off without Ralsei, so let's just skip ahead to me running past everything in sight, except the cats though, they're cool. This chapter reduces the turns it takes to spare Darkness in half, so now it only takes 6 with Ralsei, which is still a lot, but it's way better than before. And after I totally didn't cheat on the sweet cap and cakes, we gain access to R action, which allows Ralsei to use his own axe. This is where the run actually gets interesting. I continue to just skip past every obstacle, but then we made it to the first Birdly fight, and with the new power of R action, Ralsei can actually solo him. Sure, he only does 6% of Mercy each turn, but at least that's something. I expected this fight to take a long time, which it absolutely did, but 4 minutes was less than I thought it would be. But stay tuned for later, because 4 minutes proved to be on the shorter end of bosses. When entering the city, Susie and Ralsei leave Chris for a bit, and we get Noelle as a new party member. I could just continue through this part normally, but I decided to treat Noelle as Ralsei for whatever reason, and now everything's gonna take way longer. Not a whole lot happens between the first and second Birdly fight, so let's just jump straight into it. By using Noelle's N action, Birdly's Mercy increases by 10%, which I honestly didn't expect. It does make sense though since Birdly likes how smart she is. This boss is actually pretty tough. He enlists the help of Werewire shortly into the fight, which we have to get rid of or the attacks will be brutal. And he also hits like a truck, so we have to spend a couple turns using Heal Prayer. No deaths so far though, and now we can skip over Spamton before reuniting with Ralsei. We got attacked by some mice, and this is where Ralsei actually fell for the first time. I could have made it so if Ralsei goes down at any point it's an auto death, but I thought it would be more fun to have to wait 3 turns before he gets back up, forcing me to dodge even more attacks that I clearly don't know how to avoid. We go into the Queen's Mansion, and after equipping Ralsei with better gear, we walk straight through a painting before smashing the pottery. This angered the Queen's swatchlings, so now we have to fight them by making all of their colors match. Here's the issue with this. Ralsei's action is half cold, which cools the color slightly. In this encounter, we need all of the swatchings to be blue, which would take about 8 turns in total, assuming I don't have to stop to heal. That doesn't sound so bad, but the blue swatchling is the hardest one to dodge, and we need to get 3 of them. I actually ended up dying here, which meant I have to do the entire fight again if I don't successfully balance the pottery. Yeah, I ended up breaking it again, but I had a plan this time. My plan was to purposely die so I don't have to do this fight. Yes, this is a bit scummy and dishonorable, but this is my video, so I make the rules. The swatchings killed me once again, but on the 4th attempt of the stupid pottery minigame, I was close enough to the end land, we're gonna just let it fall and dash towards the next room. Task Manager resides here, but we can just spare her and her cats in one turn if we answer questions correctly. Next up was the longest battle so far, the Mouse Wheel. Ralsei can only do 5% mercy to it each turn, which adds up to 20 turns on top of his beam being a pain to stay clear of. It took around 5.5 minutes, but that's not even the longest fight. Before we get to that though, we have to go through the Acid River, which, I'm gonna be honest, is a very boring section that doesn't need to exist. Don't get me wrong, the rules fight at the end is awesome, but everything before that is just a cutscene disguised as gameplay and an easy puzzle that I used to fail a lot. At least Rules was able to win his own game since Ralsei can't take houses on his own. The last obstacle stood before us, not the Swimmer Wire, but the Queen herself. Ralsei only does 5% mercy to Berdly here, and every 20% he gets, Queen shields herself with a barrier that we have to get rid of before we can help Berdly again. And this shield sucks! After spending several turns getting it out, we can do another 20% to Berdly before she brings out an even bigger shield! The first one took 6 turns to get rid of, but the second one and onwards take 8. Presume that each turn takes around 10 seconds, and I don't stop to heal or are downed. To save Berdly, it would take roughly 340 seconds or 5.6 minutes, but it actually took closer to 10 minutes from all the turns I spent healing! After over 2.5 hours, I died to Queen and was too salted to continue.